Dreams inside dreams. A single idea
Inception.
that changes everything.
The heir of a major corporation to dissolve his father's empire.
But Inception isn't about dreams. It's about the art of storytelling. Christopher Nolan didn't just create a movie, he built a world. And showed us the blueprint for how films, people, governments, institutions, and all manipulate reality. It's a high-stakes heist film disguised as a brain twister. But instead of gold or diamonds, they're stealing an idea. Scratch that, they are planting an idea. Every moment, every cut, every second, all are masterclasses in cinematic deception.
I will split up my father's empire. Now, this is obviously an idea that Robert himself would choose to reject.
Inception is all about planting that idea in your mind. But what tricks made it so wild?
You ready? Ready!
You've got dreams inside dreams,
Finish the job before the next kick.
What next kick?
and every layer moves at completely different speed. Up top, a van is falling in slow motion, taking what feels like forever to hit the water. Meanwhile, 2 layers down, Cobb is going through a collapsing city. When I was watching this, it felt like watching 3 movies at the same time, but somehow it all makes sense. Although a part of me was asking, how is this even possible? How? Well, this is because Nolan set up rules for how the dream levels work. I don't see it as mere chaos, it's more of a system.
It's a week, the first level down. 6 months, the second level down, and the third level.
It's 10 years.
Each layer's time moves slower than the one above it. 1 minute here feels like hours down there. So when we're watching that van fall, we're sweating profusely because in the other dream worlds, entire lifetimes are playing out before the splash.
In a dream, your mind functions more quickly, therefore, time seems to feel more slow.
5 minutes in the real world gives you an hour in the dream.
But the sneaky part is that Nolan doesn't give us time to stop and think. He just keeps cutting between the layers and keeps cranking up the tension until you're holding your breath. It's like he's saying, stay with me or you're gonna get lost. And you do, every single time. Especially during that first watch. Remember how you were already impressed about how good Inception was at the beginning? I mean, I was. But it was at some point that Inception really blew my mind for real. And it was when I discovered that most of what I saw in Inception wasn't CGI. Do you know that for that jaw-dropping hallway fight, they built a massive rotating set and strapped Joseph Gordon-Levitt into it? No green screen, no shortcuts. The dude literally ran on walls like Spider-Man, and he trained for weeks just to get it right. Remember that scene where Ariadne and Cobb are sitting at the cafe, and suddenly everything starts exploding? Those weren't computer graphics. Nolan used high-pressure air cannons to blast real debris around the actors. You can almost feel the weight of the fragments flying through the air. That's why it looks so real. It is real. And the train plowing through the streets of downtown LA? Yeah, They rigged an actual train car onto a truck. According to Nolan, why fake it when we can just blow the budget? It's insane, but it works. Alright, let's talk about the music. Hans Zimmer makes a soundtrack that might never be replicated in Hollywood in this movie. He literally gave us something that was another trick and layer of the story. You know that deep sound everyone associates with Inception? Hans Zimmer had to make it for a particular reason.
People are talking about the Bram sound, the low brass. I made the sound, but that means nothing. Chris wrote the sound in his screenplay to Inception. It was his way of showing time slowing down. We booked a studio for the next day with 10 brass players, and we had a piano in the middle of the room with a brick on the sustain pedal, so the brass would play into this piano and all the strings would be vibrating. And that's the sound of Inception.
That's mind-blowing, right? I mean, I can't be the only one who found that fascinating. In fact, it gets crazier. The movie had a runtime of 2 hours and 28 minutes. That's the same length as Piaf's song if you convert it into seconds. And let's be honest, that cannot be a coincidence. Nolan used the music to link everything together, and honestly, the soundtrack was exceptional all through. In the movie, part of the soundtrack is the kick.
The trick is to synchronize a kick that can penetrate all 3 levels.
The signal that wakes them up from the dream. And for us, it's the thread that keeps pulling us deeper into the story. Zimmer even matched the rhythm of the score to the way time slows in the dream layers. So when the music swells, it's like time is stretching with it. You can feel it as you're watching it. It's genius. For this, you don't just hear the tension, you feel it in your bones. Now let's talk about another trick. Totems. Remember them in the movie? These little objects tell the dreamers if they're in a dream or reality. For Cobb, that totem is only the spinning top. I mean, that's what we all know it is. There are people that argue that his totem is his wedding ring, as it is seen with him in his dream, but not when he's awake. Go back and check. In the dream world, he's always wearing it. In reality, it's gone. Wild, right? Well, again, a totem has to be something that's there in the physical world, and for Cobb, that's the spinning top. Since the ring is only there in his dreams, there's only one thing it proves. Cobb is still so attached to his wife and doesn't want to let go. But there's something wild about that ending. That spinning top, just as the screen cuts to black, it drove every one of us crazy. Is Cobb still dreaming, or is he back in the real world? I mean, no top keeps spinning for that long. Here's what makes it so brilliant. Nolan doesn't answer. To me, that guy is crazy, and Cobb doesn't even care anymore. He's with his kids, and that's the reality he's chosen. Whether it's real or not, that's up to you.
Come back to reality, Tom. Please.
It's the perfect way to end the movie.
Those kids, your grandchildren, they're waiting for their father to come back home. That's their reality.
You leave the theater questioning everything, not just the movie, but reality itself. And that's the point. Nolan planted the idea, and it's been living in our heads ever since. And just like a good movie, once the idea is there, it grows and becomes something bigger. That's Inception. I'd argue that he probably grew up having dreams like what he conjured up in Inception, and decided he won't be alone in his thoughts. He had to rope us into his dream world. It's why the movie feels so personal. You start to understand it better when you know that it isn't just any story. It's Nolan's story.
The nature of dreaming, the idea that while we're dreaming we can create a world.
He's bringing us into his world and showing us what it feels like to create something.
We're dreaming that person. We're also creating the words that are in that person's mouth. It took me a long time to write the script because I based it on this idea of a heist movie set in the world of dreams.
To build a world and to hope the audience gets it.
For Inception was from a period of my life, when I was in university and didn't have much money. Breakfast was free, but it ended at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock or whatever. And we were, of course, staying up all night. And so I would go to bed at 4 in the morning or something, set my alarm, wake up to get the end of breakfast, go back to bed.
Back to sleep.
So then you're in this sleep state where it becomes possible to be very aware of the fact that you're dreaming.
And judging by how much we're all still talking about it, I think he nailed it. Here's another wild concept that you might have missed. Inception is packed with mazes. And I don't just mean the ones Ariadne draws.
Stop.
The whole movie is a maze. Start from Cobb's mind, a maze. The story, a maze. Even the production company, Syncope, uses a maze in its logo. It's all about finding your way through layers of meaning. And have you ever wondered why Ariadne's name sounds so unique? It's straight out of Greek mythology. It's the name of the daughter of King Minos of Crete. And the diagram that Ariadne drew in that movie is a diagram of King Minos' labyrinth. Ariadne helped Theseus escape the labyrinth with a ball of thread. Sound familiar? Even if it doesn't, this just signified that it was exactly what Ariadne was doing for Cobb.
No matter how hopeless I am, no matter how confused, that guilt is always there, reminding me of the truth.
She was helping him untangle his guilt and find a way out of his mental maze.
What are you talking about?
And then there are the numbers. Did you notice 2053 or its inverse variation pops up at least 2 places, on the taxi and even the train? It was the same with 528491. You see it on the safe, on the doors leading to the rooms, and as a hex number. 528491 produces a cyan-like color used throughout the movie as well. Nolan loves dropping these little breadcrumbs, daring us to figure it all out. It's like he built his own puzzle just to see if we could solve it. Another beautiful trick about Inception is that it gives us not just cool visuals or action-packed scenes, but strong themes that hit hard. I mean, the most consistent one was reality versus illusion. The whole time you're questioning what's real and what's not, especially towards that end. I needed to know, is Cobb now awake or is he still dreaming? And by the tail end, it throws the question right back at you. Does it even matter? Cobb chooses to stop chasing answers. He picks his kids over the spinning top. That's the kind of choice we all face. What really matters to us in the end? And then there's guilt. Cobb carries the weight of Maul's death everywhere he goes. It shapes every decision he makes. He dives into these dreams, not just to pull off a job, but to find some kind of release. That guilt makes the movie emotional. And let's not forget the team. What they're doing isn't just stealing ideas. It's creating and planting something new. It's collaborative, like filmmaking. Ariadne designs the world. Ames brings it to life. Arthur keeps everything running. It's a crew coming together to make something bigger than themselves. And it's all led by Cobb, just like a director steering a project. So why does Inception stick with us? For me, it's more than the cool visuals or the brain-twisting plot. What it does for me is the emotion. Again, I believe at its core, this is Cobb's story. His guilt over Mal, his love for his kids, his need to move on. We've all felt those things in some way, and it's why the movie hits so hard. It's why the ending is so perfect. Nolan doesn't tell us if it's real or a dream, because that's not the point. He doesn't need to. The point is that Cobb lets go. He chooses love over doubt. And isn't that what we all want? To let go of the things that weigh us down and focus on what matters. So here's the real question. What do you think? Was Cobb still dreaming, or did he finally wake up? Drop your theories in the comments. I want to hear them all. And hey, if this breakdown made you see Inception in a new way, give it a like and hit subscribe. We've got plenty more mind-bending movie journeys coming your way.